The time has come to start the Hitachi Limited web conference for the media on the Q1 fiscal year 2021 earnings. Thank you very much for attending despite your busy schedules today. With respect to the explanation materials for today's meeting, please refer to the IR site of Hitachi Limited and the news release site at your leisure. I will now like to introduce the speakers for today. Yoshihiko Kawamura, Senior Vice President and Executive Officer, CFO. Tomomi Kato, General Manager, Financial Strategy Division. Yasuo Hirano, Executive General Manager, Corporate Brand and Communication Division. I would like to ask Mr. Kawamura to explain the results. And now the screen will be switched over. Mr. Kawamura, please. Thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Kawamura. Today, I'd like to thank you for participating despite your busy schedules today. First of all, I must mention that the pandemic is running rampant and it is having impact on the medical service. And against this backdrop, we're very happy that we're able to continue our business. Let me go into the explanation of the materials. Please refer to page 3. But before the explanation, I have to mention the two characteristics in the background of this explanation. The first point is DX and GX issue. DX is a digital transformation, and GX is green transformation. These X's are very important for our company. It is an important strategy objective of our company. The focus of our operation is to make a contribution in DX and GX. Therefore, in terms of digital transformation, Silicon Valley's Global Logic specialized company will now be joining our group. And we have been able to close this deal. Regarding GX, last year, ABB grid business has been included in the group. HAPG is what we're referring to. And renewable energies will be subject to efficient T&D. This is also included in our group. Therefore, based on this structure, we have the strategic tools to pursue DX and GX in earnest now. Second topic will be discussed today as well. There is still the strong impact of the pandemic. And the recovery is yet to come in Japan, but in North America, Europe, as well as China, recovery is preceding Japan. We are allocating resources in this area. As a result, results have been brought to the fore. These are two important factors to bear in mind for our results today. And please refer to page 3. There are 3 characteristics of the results this time. First is the efforts that we have made in terms of the reform of business as well as construction. As a result, results have remained firm. 4 bullet points are shown here. 5 sectors belonging to Hitachi Limited, as well as Hitachi Astemo, the auto parts, as well as listed subsidiaries, increased revenues as well as profit from last year. The second point is the fact that we have secured outcome reforms of low profit business and construction. Number 3, we have a record high in 2 areas today. One is the IT segment. It remains firm. And we have posted a record high operating income on adjusted basis as well as a margin. In the first quarter, we have posted record highs. The last bullet point here is the focus we have on the overseas business. This is also bearing results. The building system business in China, railway system business in Europe, as well as industry business in North America expanded, achieved a record high overseas revenues as well as the overseas revenues ratio. I will further elaborate later on this point. And number two is in the regions where pandemic is recovering, we are receiving solid orders. As I mentioned earlier, the overseas market is proceeding a recovery compared to Japan. Therefore, we are receiving orders surpassing the last year in North America, Europe, as well as China. Hitachi ABB power grid business is seeing steady order intakes in terms of carbon neutral Q1 orders of 2.7 billion, order backlog of approximately 12 billion. Third is the transformation of the business portfolio. We are continuing to be focused in this area. Together with Elteric, the global home appliance business has been established. You may know about Elteric. It is based in Istanbul of Turkey, and it belongs to the Fati group. It is one of the largest group. About 10% of GDP of Turkey is accounted for this. Automobile and petrochemicals are included in the conglomerate. We have established a joint venture to pursue the global home appliance. A GlobalLogic acquisition has been completed in July. It will be included 100% basis. Therefore, by so doing, we can strongly pursue DX and GX. We have tools in order to pursue this objective. Page 4. This is the result of Q1 in 3 graphs. Left-hand side graph shows from the left to right is Q1 for fiscal 19, fiscal 1, fiscal 20, and quarter 1 of fiscal year 21. Compared to fiscal 19 and 20, we have seen an increase. The light gray is revenues and dark gray is adjusted operating income. And so we have seen increase in revenues and earnings for fiscal 9 compared to fiscal 19 and 20. It is V-shaped recovery. Right-hand side is showing the 5 sectors and listed subsidiaries. As you can see, if you compare the Q1 for 19 and 20, you can see there is growth. But in terms of profit margin, as shown in the red curve, 7.3% was the level last year. This year, Q1 is 6.4%. This is because of HAPG. The grid business PPA amortization is having an impact of 40 billion yen. This is having impact bringing down the ratio. But once this is behind us, we'll revert back to 7.3% level. Below is the listed subsidiaries revenues and profits increased. For Hitachi construction machinery as well as metals have a better market environment, therefore showing a recovery. Page 5, please. I'd like to talk about the Lumada business on this page. 2 graphs are shown. Left-hand side is comparing the Q1 year-on-year basis. And you can see that the core business and also the related business increasing. Right-hand side, the forecast is shown as well. 1.58 trillion. This number has not changed. We believe this is achievable for the fiscal year 2021. On the right-hand side, new numbers are presented. It is a pie graph showing the Q1 for the left-hand side and the forecast for the fiscal 21 on the right-hand side. The outer ring shows the domestic domestic and overseas ratio, 53% and 47% for Japan and overseas for the first quarter. For the fiscal year basis, Japan will be 55% and 45% overseas on the right-hand side. So we can see that half of the business is accounted for by overseas. This is in line with our strategies. Below on page 5, topics for Q1 are shown here. There are 3 topics to be shared. First of all, in the area of IT, Thailand's electricity generating authority is a demand response demonstration project has been won. This is to optimize the balance between electricity supply and demand in Thailand. Industry. Suntory's IoT factory collaboration has begun for this water plant. This is not only for manufacturing, but it will also include the health promotion of employees as well. Third is Hitachi High-Tech. Semiconductor is subject to headwind today. But on the west coast of the United States, the Engineering Center for Semiconductor, in collaboration to pursue collaboration with customers, will be established. By so doing, we will strengthen our abilities in the area of semiconductors. Page 7. These are the highlights of the results. Left-hand side is showing revenues. You can see there was an increase year-on-year. In the middle, adjusted operating income increase has been achieved. Right-hand side shows the numbers. Overseas revenues 1.459.8 billion. This is record high. And the mother business is 303 billion. And cash items are shown here a bit, as well as the quarterly profit and EBITDA are shown here. Year-on-year is shown the comparison. For example, year-on-year plus 88%, plus 38%, and plus 171 billion yen, respectively. This is a backlash from the divestiture of last year. Please refer to the next page. The 5 sectors, STIMO and listed subsidiaries numbers are presented here. This is a new category for the purpose of the disclosure. Up till last year, we had 5 sectors and listed subsidiaries. But from this year, we will also have additional category of STIMO. So STIMO has been become independent from the 5 sectors. This is now a joint venture with Honda. Therefore, it is as if we were controlling the business on a 100% basis. Therefore, we decided to separate the STIMO from the 5 sectors. So the categories will be 5 sectors, STIMO, and listed subsidiaries totally shown on the right-hand side. What is noteworthy here is the second line from the top, adjusted operating income. For the 5 sectors is 98.2, STIMO 12.1, and listed subsidiaries 20.1 billion. And the total was 130.4 billion yen. And 98.2 billion is 5 sectors or Hitachi Limited. And this is how it should be interpreted. The parent company is driving the revenues. Adjusted operating income ratio for the 5 sectors 6.4%, STIMO 3.2%, listed subsidiaries 4.4%, and total was 5.5%. Page 9. This is showing the revenues and adjusted operating income from comparing the first quarter from last year to this year. In terms of revenues from the first quarter of last year, as you can see, the power grid business acquisition was made. This has an impact of 264.6 billion yen. Next is Hitachi STIMO joint venture with Honda to the tune of 265 billion. Foreign exchange impact is shown here as well. Others include the metals and construction machinery improving, which has been reflected here. As a result, the result for the Q1 for this fiscal year was 2,367.4 billion yen. Global Logic is not included here. Later, on a full year basis, it will be included. But for Q1 is Power Grid and Hitachi Astemo are having a significant impact. For just the operating income, the trend is similar. Page 10. This is showing the financial position and cash flows. This is for the first quarter. So as you can see above, the left-hand side is as of March 31st, 2021, and the gray is for the 3 months as of June 30th, 2021. Therefore, there is not a significant change because it is, after all, only 3 months. And what is noteworthy here is the liabilities, interest-bearing debt. Used to be 2.39 trillion, but it has increased to 2.5 trillion, also increased by approximately 100 billion yen. And this is because of the financing required for the acquisition of GlobalLogic. Now, the cash conversion ratio cycle is also shown. There is an improvement of 12.9 days. D ratio, on the other hand, was 0.54 times as of March. Now it is 0.56 times. With the GlobalLogic, cash has undermined, deteriorated this. But in our companies, 0.3 to 0.4 is the normal D ratio. We will be implementing measures to make improvement. Operating cash flow will increase, and also asset disposal will be made so that the ratio can be improved further. Page 11. As I mentioned earlier at the outset, we are allocating focus resources in the overseas market. The situation is reflected here. Let's go clockwise, starting with North America, followed by Europe, China, Japan, ASEAN, India, other areas, and other areas. What is noteworthy is the percentage in the circle showing growth rate in terms of revenues. North America is 197%. It has almost doubled. Europe, 207% doubled. China, 157%, 1.5 time increase. Japan's recovery is being delayed. It is shown in this number as well. It is recovering, but it is limited to 111%. ASEAN, India, and other areas double, and other areas beyond that double as well. What is most significant is shown here. Energy, the power grid is now included, and North America as well as Europe. This business is having a significant impact. Astemo is also included in China and ASEAN, India, and other areas. Astemo's revenues profitability is improving as reflected here. So that is all for Q1 results.
Next, I would like to talk about the forecast for a full year. Please turn to page 13. This is the full year left-hand side revenues. In the middle, adjusted operating income. In the right-hand side, you can see the actual figures. So both revenue and income are increasing. For the full year, we expect an increase of 9.5 and also adjusted operating income 740. This is the same as the earlier plan. As you can see, Lumada 1.58 trillion, which remains unchanged, and then EBIT, net income, and EBITDA cash flows from operating activities, core free cash flows, and ROIC. Until here, everything in parentheses is plus or minus 0, but it's a message that there's no change. We went through various details, but we made this forecast based on assumptions that we can achieve. The yen rate, we assume 105 yen to the dollar. If yen weakens furthermore, with the effect of a weakening of a yen, that will be a factor of further increase. But so far, we are not taking that into consideration, and we are assuming exchange rate of 105 yen. Next is page 14. Here, the 3 disclosure categories are shown in the similar manner. 5 sectors are STEM listed subsidiaries. As you can see at the top in the caption, 5 sectors with market recovery, acquisition of power grids business for 5 sectors, revenues and profit will increase and Astemo also increase. And listed subsidiaries, market situation is greatly recovering, and Hitachi Construction Machinery, Hitachi Metals, revenues and profit is increasing. As you can see, the numbers, the second from the top, adjusted operating income. For 5 sectors, 548 billion, Astemo 97 billion, listed subsidiaries 95 billion, and total at about 740 billion. So this is what will be achieved. And I want you to note 548 billion for 5 sectors, which is about 75% of a 740 billion, which we expect to be achieved by the 5 sectors. And going down, adjusted operating income ratio for 5 sectors, 8.9%. We expect will be above 9% in the midterm plan. Our target is to achieve 10% within this year. There is a delay of 1 year because of pandemic last year. But for our 5 sectors, letting aside whether 10% is achievable, but it's highly possible that we exceed 9%. So even though there was a pandemic, we will achieve a level close to the targets of a medium-term plan. Next, page 15. Here, for a full year from last year to this year, this shows the changes. As I have mentioned, Global Logic is included. Revenues at the top, left FY2020, revenue 8,729 billion, and power grid acquisition impact is added, and Astemo is also added, and then Global Logic is added for about 90 billion, and for exchange impact. The negative figure, there is a divestiture of home appliances, which is declining, going to the right, a total of 9.5 trillion. And adjusted operating income, the same trend is seen. Power grid is included, Astemo is included, Global Logic is included. This is how this is structured. Next, page 16. This is the net income attributable to Hitachi Limited stockholders. I will not cover the details, but similarly, Hitachi Metals and sales and structural reform expenses are added, and this has the largest impact, leading to the right-hand side 550 billion. This is the bottom. And as appendix, there are further details by sector. Page 18 is IT. The graph structure is the same for all. Left is revenues, the middle is adjusted operating income, and the right-hand side is EBIT. And the legend below, the top is the content of Q1 this year, the one at the bottom is for the full year. As you can see for IT, the left-hand side table, we expect increase in revenues, and the left-hand side bar graph is a comparison by quarter. Right-hand side bar is the full year comparison. And also in the middle, adjusted operating income, it's the same structure. Increase in both revenues and income. Right-hand side, EBIT and cash, you can see that there is an increase. And energy, also, we have a same structure. The left-hand side is revenues increasing, and income is also increasing, and cash flow is also increasing. For industry, also, we have a same structure, increase in revenue, income, and cash flow. And mobility, we accept increase, but there's a slight drop in the cash flow, as you can see below. Railway in London, agility trains, stocks were sold, which is having some impact. And for Smart Life also, I want to say there's increase in revenue, but actually there's a drop in revenues for Smart Life. As it is written here, the image diagnostic imaging related business sales has an impact, as I mentioned at outset. However, as you can see on the right-hand side, adjusted operating income for the full year, income is increasing. And Astemo, page 23, increase in both revenue and income. And Hitachi Construction Machinery, page 24, increase. and also Hitachi Metals increase. For our two subsidiaries, there has been a great recovery compared to a difficult situation last year. Page 26 and 27 shows the results and forecasts by segment. Page 26 are from IT to Smart Life, and page 27 from Estimo down to Total. So this is as you can see in the middle, it says 2020 and the forecast for 2021. If you compare the figures, for instance, in case of IT, adjusted operating income and operating income ratio for both. Compared to last year, you can compare the situation for this year. For IT, there is a PPA leading to a reduction, but the amount is also slightly decreasing. And this is also because of situation of PPA being reflected. And for energy, both income ratio are going up. And in total, page 27 bottom, as a total, you can see the general trend. Adjusted operating income is increasing compared to the previous year. Income ratio is also increasing. So I spent a little time to explain, but this is the explanation of the Q1 and the forecast for a full year. Thank you very much.
Kamara-san, thank you very much. We would now like to move on to the Q&A. If you wish to ask a question, please indicate by the raise hand button on the screen. We will call out your name. Once your name is called, please unmute, state your name and affiliation, and ask your question. Should you no longer require to ask the question, please make sure to release the raise hand button. We will not be showing video of the person asking a question today. We will first of all ask Masuda-san. Please unmute and ask your question. Can you hear me? I have two questions and also one confirmation to make. First of all, regarding the profit margin, compared to before COVID, for revenues and profit have increased, but the profit margin is declining somewhat. GlobalLogic is going to be in July. There is going to be significant amortization because of PPA. I think a 10% target is difficult to achieve. What is your take on this in terms of cost reduction, or is it going to be by increase in profitable business? How do you intend to increase the profit margin? Regarding the second half profit margin, for raw material cost is increasing recently. Currently, for the second half, is there going to be a negative impact or not? Third is a confirmation to make. For this quarter, the net income has decreased. In the absence of Hitachi Chemical impact, would it have been increase in profit? Thank you. Answer. Regarding 1 and 2, I would like to ask a answer. And regarding Hitachi Chemical, Mr. Kato will respond. Regarding GlobalLogic, as well as HAPG, there is going to be significant amortization, and that is the case. Currently, will not give detailed numbers with the two companies for this fiscal year to the tune of 70 billion amortization will be required. And these numbers reflect absorbing this amount as well. Operating profit increase is one factor because the market is improving. Second factor is cost structure reform. We are making headway in this area. About several tens billions improvement has been made, inclusive of the fixed cost. So operating profit will increase, and by controlling cost, 17 billion significant amortization will be absorbed in. So doing, we will achieve this profit. Regarding raw materials, as you know very well, we are going into detailed analysis. We have three things that we are considering. First of all, semiconductors. For semiconductor supply is subject to shortage today. How this is going to recover is the challenge. And the impact of semiconductor shortage will have to be dealt with. Raw materials such as steel, copper, aluminum, and others. Raw material cost is increasing significantly, especially copper is increasing significantly. Compared to several years ago, it has increased by a factor of 5. And it is likely that it will not go down to the previous levels because in electrification of the computers as well as cars, there is significant demand for copper. So how to control the copper price is going to be very important. Raw material cost control is the second important factor that we are trying to control. Third is freight. Ocean freight is increasing significantly today. But as demo parts will have us be impacted significantly, as well as HAPG. Procurement cost will be subject to scrutiny, and we will try to ask customers to cooperate in this regard as well. So I have responded to 1 and 2. For 3, I would ask my colleague to answer. Regarding the first quarter, the bottom net income is decreased by 100 billion, as you rightly mentioned, of Hitachi Chemical. 160 billion was included. Therefore, in the absence of this, it would have been a profit increase. I would also like to add further information regarding the impact of raw material cost. Let me give you the actual numbers. In the first quarter, the market raw materials cost increase on operating profit margin gross is 25 billion. We have taken measures, and the net basis is 20 billion. A downward impact is felt. As a result, as Kawamura-san has explained, the adjusted operating income has been impacted. For fiscal year 2021 full year, gross is 100 billion. We will take measures, so this will be limited to 85 billion in terms of downward pressure on income. In terms of, I'm sorry that the information is detailed, but that is all for me. I have a follow-up question. You also mentioned cost control. Fixed cost reduction was mentioned. Which segment is subject to fixed cost reduction? Please give me further details in terms of your plan. Answer. It hasn't been decided yet, but we are taking measures to reduce fixed cost. For Hitachi Astemo, we will be subject to business integration. And they say we will look for redundant operations so that optimization can take place. Furthermore, I think we'll be able to disclose further information. HAPG acquisition has significant administrative center mainly in Europe. Hitachi's indirect operations can be transferred to this. The impact for this year could be limited, but ultimately in several years it will be up and running. This is likely to have a positive impact on fixed cost reduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to invite the next question. Please unmute yourself. Question. I have mainly 2 questions. First is about Global Logic. 1 month has passed since the closing. Has there anything being made clear, anything unexpected in terms of assets? If there's anything, please let me know. Another question is about the IT segment. On the 1st of September, the digital agency will start in Japan. Is that a positive thing or something negative for you? And now, for the government agencies and local governments, development of IT system is going on. Is that profitable for your IT segment or not? And lastly, IT engineers, Well, going forward with DX, there will be new requirements. So system development based on subcontracting such IT engineers, but rather than that, to shift the human resources to DX, what is the current situation? What are your plans about the future? Answer. Thank you for your question. First, about Global Logic. On the 13th of July, Japan time, closing was conducted. It's only a few weeks. But before that, we did quite a detailed due diligence, and we could identify many things. So at the moment, if you're asking for something unexpected, no, nothing unexpected has happened. First quarter revenue is going on smoothly. There's nothing that was unexpected. And your second question about IT, the start of a digital agency, of course, for our company, this will be a tailwind. There will be system integration, and also there may be new systems added. So for us, this is a big profit opportunity. To be more specific, pension or healthcare, medical care related. Already there are orders for new systems being placed. So digital agency, I hear, will play a central role in making integrations, and we can work on that extension. About the profitability, well, IT profitability, this is not something that will lead to a very big profit or profitability, or maybe 10, 11, or 12%. Around that level, I think will be the profit. Your last point about IT DX human resources, as you said, so far, system integration type of personnel were playing a central role, but now, with the introduction of Global Logic, there are 25,000 IT engineers. These are digital engineers. It is impossible to hire so many people with that qualification in Japan. So we can expect a human resources synergy by including this company. And also Global Logic has a university system, a training system within the company. So our traditional system integrator can be sent to the training center to develop. It is possible to develop digital transformation human resources both in Japan and United States through that. That is all. Thank you very much.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Any other questions? Please indicate by the raise hand button. Please unmute and ask your question. Answer. Oh, sorry, question. Basically, I have two questions. First of all, regarding these results, two record highs have been recorded, IT and overseas business. What is the driver for the stronger IT business? For overseas, revenues are mentioned here, but what about profit? What is the contribution made by the overseas business on profit? Answer. First of all, regarding IT, overall social innovation business as well as public institutions and finance and platform business are included. Comprehensively, profit is generated. There is no one significant driver. It is overall business has been very good. For the overseas business, we are only showing the revenues numbers only. But in terms of macro basis, we have the revenues and the operating profit margin is shown. So by multiplying, you should be able to get a rough number. Regarding the overseas business, let me talk about how the businesses look. First of all, in most of the sectors, we have seen increase in profit for industry, for example, in North America. JR Automation and Sol Air are making a significant contribution in revenues as well as profit. And furthermore, in the area of mobility, building system, that's escalators and elevators, China business is very strong, making a contribution to both revenues and profit. This is not only a revenue contribution, but also making contributions in terms of profit as well. Thank you. I have another question. You mentioned DX and GX at the outset. The green area, GX, is what I would like to ask a question about. ABB was being emphasized, but apart from ABB, is there a significant movement activity in GX? Answer. As you rightly mentioned, I focus on ABB, but in terms of dealing with the environmental issues is very important. This is the responsibility of Mr. Dorma. We are engaged in discussions. CO2 reduction target has been set. How to achieve this is where we are making efforts. R&D will be strengthened, especially for CO2 reduction. The fixation is a very important focus for us in terms of R&D. Technological innovation breakthrough will be pursued. Furthermore, we are very strong in motors and compressors. Electricity as well as utilities is very important. But in terms of these technologies, we have unique technologies, and we can reduce the power consumption. Innovation technology and sequestration of CO2 and the compression technology will be brought to bear so that power consumption can be reduced. By so doing, we are dealing with environmental issues. Environmental issues is very expansive, and it is akin to climate change, and this is also akin to CO2 reduction, and that will be our focus going forward. Thank you. Question. In the first quarter, how do you evaluate? What is your frank view on this? Was it better than expected, or is there something lacking? Answer. I believe that the performance was according to plan. There was no significant surprises, either positive or negative. So we have set forth with scenario in April, and we proceeded in that way. Inclusive of the Global Logic deal, there is no surprises. Everything is proceeding in a steady manner, according to plan. That's my take. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Is there no questions? Though it's a little early, with this, we'd like to conclude the web conference on Q1 of FY2021 earnings. This concludes our web conference. Thank you very much for your attendance.